Well, guys, this is going to be an interesting video for various reasons. Um, I'm not going to do my usual intro, so for those of you who this might be your first time seeing me, my name is Shay, and welcome to Creepy Critiques. It kind of feels odd to start this video off with like, hey guys, all that stuff. We are going to be doing a movie review. Actually, we're going to be doing two movie reviews, and I'll bring the energy back up. I'll bring the energy back up. But I felt it would be wrong of me to post a video and completely ignore the stuff that's been going on in the United States. So, if you don't like to hear about politics or anything like that, there's the timestamp. Skip to that, and I'll see you when the movie review starts. But for those of you who actually want to hear what I have to say, I'm really glad that you're listening. Also, I'm not like an expert on anything, and I'm probably going to get a lot of things wrong, but I just felt the need to talk about this right now. By the time you guys see this, it'll be Friday night. I will be gearing up to go see Stray Kids the next day and on Saturday. But there's also going to be nationwide protests. The No Kings protest. If you haven't heard of it, it is in regards to some of the stuff that the president has been doing. And because of this past weekend and going into this week, the activity for a group called ICE, which basically they're like immigration police, has skyrocketed. Where I am going on Saturday, we're going to be in the affected area. We are not super close to where the protest is happening, but we are in an area where some of the people I've spoken to said that ICE have been patrolling. We are at a stadium, and the stadium already kind of assured everybody that we will be secure, but given the fact that we've seen them just infiltrate venues that they shouldn't be at in the last couple of days, I'm very nervous about this weekend. I went from being super excited to see one of my favorite K-pop groups to now I'm kind of anxious. Now, obviously, I could have made the decision to not go, but it was a lot of money that I spent on this, and I also don't think I should rob myself of the experience because nothing could happen, and hopefully nothing will happen. But the reason why this video is coming so late has a lot to do with that. Not the concert, but the protests and ICE. It felt weird coming on here, recording a video like normal, trying to like talk about movies, make jokes. It felt really weird because there's a lot of people that are just dealing with so much pain and so much like hatred being flung at them. And given my skin color, I do have that fear myself. It was one of my worst fears when the election last year was happening. I was like, if he wins, how safe am somebody like I gonna be? And I mean, I'm home most of the time. I work from home, but there is always that fear of when will they start infiltrating communities? When will they start looking for people like me? And it doesn't matter that I was born here. It doesn't matter that I've lived here for 30 plus years. They've been detaining people that are born citizens. So again, it is this terrifying reality that is setting in, and I think it hit even harder because of finding out that they were going to be in the vicinity of a place where I thought I was safe. Like, I'm thinking K-pop concert, It's like, it's a bunch of, people who are just flamboyant and fun, and it's music. It's a show. They're not going to go and bother a bunch of people just minding their own business at a concert. They might. They might. That's the reality, is they might. And we hope not. And everybody I know that's going is really trying to buckle down and make sure that we're all safe. But it felt weird, like I said, to come on here and make a video, not address what's going on, not acknowledge what's going on. And on top of that, it made me feel bad for being afraid to go to the concert because of the fact that, there are people who are actually facing much worse realities than that, then possibly something could happen. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a bunch of resources in the description, and I might even put a pinned comment and leave them in the pinned comment. For anybody who is worried about this stuff, I've been doing a lot of research. I'm not going to go into it mainly because I'm not the person to say this. I'm not, I'm educated, but I'm not that educated, and I would rather not spread misinformation. So I will leave all of the links in the description and also in the pinned comment below. So that way, if any of you are going to any events within the next couple of weeks, and you are going to events in major cities like Orlando, Chicago, New York City, because they did say they're coming to New York, Washington, D.C., anything like that, if you're going to any big events in those areas, you might want to just be cognizant if you are somebody who is at risk. And I don't mean, I mean, just if you're brown, if you're brown, that's the reality. If you're at risk in this instance, I want everybody to know what their rights are and know that they can be safe. So I will leave a bunch of resources down below in the comments and in the description. And hopefully I will see you guys next week with Poppy Playtime. Hopefully nothing will happen this weekend. Keep knocking on wood. I've been doing that like for the last 3 days. But hopefully I'll be back with regular content. And I'm also just sending out like my heartfelt, I don't like to say prayers because I'm not religious, but I'm sending out like, I don't like to say prayers, and I don't like to say good vibes. Good vibes just sounds stupid. I'm sending out safe energy to everyone that is in these areas and to everybody that could be potentially affected by stuff like this. Yeah, so that's really all I have. Like I said, I didn't want to start this video off coming in here and trying to pretend like everything is like great and wonderful. I've been watching social media really closely. I've been like talking with people who live in affected areas, and I am very, very concerned about what's going on right now in the United States. And if you're the type of person who doesn't think this is a good thing, if you're the type of person that thinks it's a good thing that they're doing this, you might just want to click off this video, and you might, if you're subscribed to me, you might want to unsubscribe, because I don't, listen, you see my skin color. You see what I'm into, okay? I've talked about in the past about being part of the LGBTQ plus community. I am as liberal as it gets. I'm not a snowflake. I'm not whiny. I'm not crying, but I am as liberal as it gets. I am going to always be honest about that. So if anybody who comes here and finds this video, watches this video, and you're like, man, that's not that big of a deal, click off, please. I hate to send people away, but click off. I would rather you leave than stay here and try to debate me on this, because I'm the one living this existence. I'm the one who's lived this existence for 30-something years. I've experienced hatred and discrimination and racism and sexism and homophobia. I've experienced all of that. So believe me when I say there's nothing that any of you can say that's going to change my mind that this country needs healing. And I believe it's coming, but we just got to get through these rough times right now. And it's going to be rough, but I believe it's coming. And I don't mean that in a threatening way. I just believe that there's change coming at some point. It's getting out of hand, and I don't think it can go on for much longer. When I say, like, I don't know exactly the time frame, but I don't think it can go on for much longer. And if you are somebody like me who is desperately worried, just know that my heart and my thoughts are with you. If you need somebody to talk to, my DMs on Instagram are always open. You can send me a DM. I'd love to just, at the very least, give you guys some sort of comfort during this time. And like I said, this video is going to be a little bit goofy because I'm doing 2 movies in one, which is not normal. And hopefully next week I will be here with Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. Told you guys that we might be skipping to the following week for that. So hopefully I can continue doing the content that I've been doing, and you guys will continue to be here to watch it. So anyone who's going to the No Kings protest this weekend, please, please, please be careful, be safe. There's so many resources online right now telling you what you can do to be safe. I know it's very difficult in a situation like that. It's chaotic. And if you are somebody who is going to be in an affected area, whether you live in that area, whether you have an event in that area, or whether you work in that area, please, 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 please be safe. Don't get into altercations that don't need to be instigated. Um, know your rights. That's going to be down there. Know your rights and just be safe. Strength in numbers. Let's take care of each other. And that's all I've got to say about that. And if you listened to this much, thank you so much for actually indulging me on a weird journey that I had. Yeah, I really couldn't make a video this week without acknowledging it, because the minute that I found out that we were like right around the corner from these protests, it sort of sapped my joy for everything, and it sort of kind of hit me. And it's not that I've been living with my head under like my head in the sand or living under a rock. I've been well aware of how bad things are, but I also don't leave my house. And so it's not like I don't care, because I do care. I spread the word. I try to be as educated as possible. I try to help where I can, but I don't really leave my house. I work from home. I do this from home. The only time I really leave is when I'm going grocery shopping or if I go out for some specific event. So believe me when I say it's not that I'm ignorant to what's going on. It's just that I did not expect my first big outing of 2025 to have this dark cloud over it of I could actually get detained. Like, I could actually get detained this weekend. And I'm just hoping that I don't. And I'm hoping that none of you do either. And if you know somebody that has, I am hoping that they will be safe and be able to come home. So we're going to leave it there, because this is getting really heavy, and I've talked for about 12 minutes about this, and I'm sure some of you guys just want to watch the fun stuff. So now, without further ado, hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Shay. I make videos about horror movies, horror TV shows, horror video games, and theme parks, because I live in Central Florida and I feel like it would be a crime not to. And if you're not new here, welcome back. Thank you for indulging me in the beginning if you did. And if you didn't, if you just wanted to skip that because your mental health can't handle it, that's fine too. Keep yourself safe, always. Okay, but today, energy's going back up. Today, we are going to be talking about two movies. Originally, I was just going to do one movie review, but both of these movies were so bad that I'm just going to put them in one combined ball and talk about them. So, I had mentioned last week that I might be going to see Bring Her Back, and I did see Bring Her Back. I saw Bring Her Back, and then I rented The Woman in the Yard. Last night, I rented it. And I have thoughts, and I have opinions. So what I'm going to do to make this a little bit easier is I'm going to talk about Bring Her Back first, and then I'm going to talk about The Woman in the Yard, and just kind of keep them divided. I don't think I'm going to run down the entire plot of the movie, because for one, I barely remember Bring Her Back because it was that forgettable in my opinion. And number two, I just don't have the time. I'd rather talk about my opinions on this. As you guys know, I don't usually hate on things. And I want to preface this whole video by saying everybody who worked on these movies, I'm sure they worked hard, I'm sure they had a vision, and I'm sure they're proud of their work. Just because I don't like this thing doesn't mean that they suck at what they do or they're bad people. And if you liked either of these movies, it doesn't mean that you're stupid or anything like that. I just have my opinions and I want to share them. And I also don't want to sway you either way. So if you haven't seen either of these movies, go watch them and then come back and talk to me. So without further ado, we've stalled long enough. We've talked about serious stuff, and now I am ready. So wait, before we move on, I just want to let you guys know that you guys should like, subscribe, comment, leave me a message or anything like that. Anything that you do lets me know that you enjoyed what you just watched. And I will remind you again at the end of the video. I'm really trying to work hard to get my subscriber count up, despite the fact that I do not promote myself on social media. That's going to change soon. All right, so without further ado, let's get into this creepy critique. So we're going to start with Bring Her Back first, if the title card that I put up didn't tell you that. it should, but we're going to start with Bring Her Back first. So, let's just get into some basics about Bring Her Back, and then I'm going to talk about my opinion on the film. So, Bring Her Back was released on May 30th, 2025, so like just a couple weeks ago. It's directed by, I'm going to butcher this name, the Philippou brothers, or I don't know. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm so sorry. They did the movie Talk to Me, which, yeah, anyways. And the synopsis is very short, sweet, and to the point. It says, a brother and sister witness a terrifying ritual at the secluded home of their new foster mother. It has a 7.6 on IMDb, an 89% on Rotten Tomatoes, and a 79% on Fandango. It also has 90% on Google, which I am not sure. Maybe I need to watch it again. So, I should preface this by saying, I didn't like Talk to Me. I might be one of the few people in the world that didn't like that movie, that thought it was incredibly overrated. But here's the caveat. There's a reason why I didn't like the movie. When Talk to Me came out, people were talking about it like it was the most terrifying movie that they've ever seen in their entire life. And I'm not just talking about like regular people that just popped in because they were curious. I'm talking about like horror blogs, horror, channels. We're talking about it like it was the most terrifying movie they've ever seen. And the same thing happened to me with Barbarian. People that I trust were saying that this was the scariest movie they'd ever seen. And I went to go see Talk to Me with a friend of mine, and I didn't like it. I didn't find it scary. I think that's what it was. It was just that everyone built it up like it was going to be the most terrifying thing that you've ever seen, and it was just a movie. No, it was just a movie. I think that the metaphor for what the metaphor was for it, I think was handled well. I think the acting performances were great. I think the story is really intriguing, but as a horror movie, like, oh, it's the most traumatizing movie I've ever seen, no. And any like hardcore horror blogger or vlogger or anything like that that is saying that, what horror movies are you watching that is the most traumatizing movie you've ever seen? Because I can tell you right now, the worst part of Talk to Me was just when she had the guy's foot in her mouth, and that was just because it was nasty. That wasn't because it was scary. That was because I was like, ooh, ew, why are you sucking on that dude's toes? So, yeah, that's the worst part of that movie. So I did not have high hopes for Bring Her Back because I already have disdain. It's kind of like how I feel about the movie that's coming out later this year, Weapons, because I hate Barbarian, and Zach Kreger is making Weapons. Weapons looks really good, but I'm going to try to see it as close to opening date as possible so I do not have to hear people say it's the scariest movie they've ever seen. Because when you guys hype that stuff up really high, it really, really sets up expectations that these movies cannot reach. That being said, I didn't have high hopes for Bring Her Back. I thought that it was going to be terrible. And it wasn't. I will say this. It wasn't terrible. It definitely wasn't what I was expecting. And I will say that I commend them for the trailer kind of keeping things ambiguous. Like, I 1,000% thought when I sat down and we were watching the movie, I 1,000% thought that what we saw in the trailer was going to be the entire movie. I didn't realize how twisted it was going to get, because it was very twisted. Like the synopsis says, there is a brother and a sister, Andy and Piper, and their father recently passes away. I don't know if they said, I was so out of it when I was watching this movie. I don't know if they said how he passed away. I just know when they opened the door and they found him covered in vomit on the bathroom floor. So I don't know if he overdosed or if he had a stroke, or I don't know. Like, I'd have to watch it again to know. But their father passed away unexpectedly, and they get put in the foster system. And they end up going to this house of a woman named Laura. But yeah, so they go to a woman named Laura, the house of a woman named Laura. She already has one kid as a foster kid, whose name is Ollie, which is the most Australian name. I feel like every Australian in movies, there's at least one Australian that's name is Ollie. Like, okay, we get it. But yeah, so Ollie is the weird little boy that you see in the movie that's got his head shaved. And to be quite honest, he's the only character that I felt bad for the entire film. I did feel really bad for him. And he honestly had some of the creepiest scenes, which I can't believe that they had a kid doing some of this stuff. So, there's something already like very odd about Laura, and she's like very obsessed with Piper. She keeps telling stories about her daughter Kathy who passed away, and she's like very obsessed with Piper. Andy's suspicious, and he gets even more suspicious when he catches Laura going through his phone. Um, as time goes on, strange things start to happen. First of all, Ollie is just he doesn't talk. It's like implied that he can't talk. He doesn't talk, and he's very self-destructive. That's the best way I can put it. There is one scene where Andy tries to get Ollie to write down what it is that he wants to say, and then he's cutting up like cantaloupe or something, and he stupid kid offers Ollie cantaloupe on a big ass knife. So Ollie takes the knife, the thing out of his hand, and he eats the cantaloupe, and then it cuts away and it cuts back, and Ollie is literally like sawing his mouth, and that was gross and that was terrifying. I was like, ooh, that's ow, my mouth hurts. After that, Andy tries to take him to the hospital, but Ollie is screaming about how he can't leave. He finally starts talking, and then when he's taken over this white line that is drawn around the property, he starts convulsing, he starts vomiting, his stomach starts moving all weird. It's just like, it's crazy. So long story short, Laura somehow found these videotapes of a ritual. And the ritual that they do basically will bring somebody back from the dead, but using someone else's body. So you find a live person with the body that you want. You take the corpse of the dead person, you put them together, they do all this stuff. And then you have like one person that apparently, I guess, like gets possessed and eats everything like Ollie does, because Ollie has that moment where he eats everything. So she found this tape of these tapes of these rituals, and because she lost her daughter in such a tragic way, she is trying to, say it with me, folks, bring her back. And that's the reason why she became obsessed with Piper. And her whole plan is that she is going to use Piper as the host, basically. She also has Kathy's body in a freezer. That's all I can say. So at one point, Andy actually ends up in the hospital. He falls and like smacks his head. He ends up in the hospital, and then he ends up going to the person who set them up with the foster family, telling her that this woman's crazy. And he also notices there's like a missing persons poster, and it's Ollie, but his name is actually Connor. And he's like, what? And also he had really long hair, and I'm like, wow, she really did him dirty. She said, you can be bald. So then he tells the woman that she needs to go and investigate. She takes him with her. She goes to investigate, and credit to her, she realizes that something's off. She starts to realize that something's off, because Laura makes it like really easy. And like before all that, Ollie was having the most severe like meltdown. And let's just go through a list of some of the things Ollie was doing before Miss Girl from foster care showed up. So when Laura walked in the house, he was eating all of the food from the fridge and throwing it around the house. He was dousing himself in milk. He jumped on Laura and started to bite and scratch at her, and eventually did cut her arm. Eventually, after he got away from Laura, he started to eat the end of the table. He started chewing on the table. Then he started eating his own arm. Yep. He started just pulling the skin off of his arm. It was disgusting. And then he went into the shed where Laura was keeping Kathy, and I don't know what he did to Kathy. It looked like he was eating her face, but he could have been doing something else with her face. So yeah, that's all the stuff that Ollie did before Miss Girl from foster care came in. And I mean, like, it was like just a massacre. And I'm like, bro, this kid went like bananas. There's no other way to put it. He went bananas. And then once Laura realizes that the lady from foster care is coming, she like cleans up the house and makes everything look all nice. And she says, oh, well, she was like, oh, you're bleeding. She's like, oh, I kind of cut myself when I was cooking. It's no big deal. But like I said, the foster care lady does realize something's wrong. She starts to investigate. She does find Ollie with the corpse. She does find Ollie with the corpse, and she is horrified. She then plans on going with Andy to back to the foster home, like the foster center, and like telling on Laura. Well, Laura gets in her car and she runs over her and Andy. And then Andy was still alive. He was very much in a lot of pain. She drowns him in a puddle. Yeah, she drowns him in a puddle. It is pretty bad. So then Piper comes home from school and she realizes that Andy is dead. She's distraught, and then that's when Laura reveals her master plan is to bring Kathy's soul into Piper's body. And obviously, she's not successful in that. She's not successful in that. Piper is able to get away. She is able to escape and run down the road and find a car that's passing by and get their attention. I mean, she's a child. I'm sure they were like, hold on, we gotta help her. The little boy, Connor Ollie, whatever you want to call him, he managed to get over the property line, and he actually snapped out of the possession. And this is why I said I felt so bad for him, because the whole reason she didn't want Ollie to leave was because if he stepped over the line, whatever she had that was possessing him was going to expel itself from his body, and he would wake up like normal. So I'm imagining this kid's been like asleep for weeks maybe, and all of a sudden he wakes up in the woods on the ground. His arm is eaten, his teeth are broken, his stomach is all like expanded, his head shaved. I can only imagine how traumatic that was for Connor, like waking up. And like that's why I said he was the only character I felt really bad for, because I'm like, he's so innocent. Like, Connor's so innocent. He has no idea what has been happening to him this entire time. He has no idea of all of the horrible things that he was doing and all the horrible things that he experienced. And the police do find him, and he is alive, and he's crying and asking for help. I can only hope that he did get the help that he needed. But the teeth, man, I mean, they got to fit that kid for veneers now. And then the movie ends with Laura hugging Kathy's body and sinking to the bottom of the pool, which I think is kind of funny because the woman that plays Laura was the main character in The Shape of Water, I think. Yeah, okay, that's what I thought. She was the main character in The Shape of Water, and quite literally, the shot with her and Kathy embracing was very similar to the shot of her and the creature in The Shape of Water embracing. So I was like, I wonder if that was just a nod to that movie. Like, I wonder if that was just a nod to that movie. But yeah, so she does perish. Now, when I went to see this movie, I really didn't know what to expect. It is well acted. It is, like, I will say this, these two guys have an amazing vision for directing. The shots that they set up are incredible. They know how to build tension. The problem is, I don't get why everybody's so scared of their movies. This one I can understand a little bit more than Talk to Me, because Talk to Me I cannot understand. But this one I can understand a little bit more because there were more scenes of horror and discomfort in this one. And, Laura was a menacing figure, in my opinion. She was, and it was almost like you kind of like wanted to feel bad for her because of the fact that she lost her daughter under such tragic circumstances, but then at the same time you kind of just wanted her to be over at that point. I mean, I got to a point where I was like, okay, are they going to kill her anytime soon? Because I'm so tired of listening to this woman talk. She is very, and like I said, everybody did a good job. Sally Hawkins is the name of the actress that plays Laura. She was great. But I didn't expect that she was going to be the main villain. I thought that there was something else that was going to be the issue, because every trailer I saw was, oddly enough, even though it showed a lot, was very ambiguous. So if you've seen the trailers and you're like, oh, I've seen the whole movie, you kind of haven't. Like, you kind of haven't. Like, there's chunks of it gone. So what do I think about this movie? Like, truly, what do I think about this movie? It's not one I would revisit. It's definitely not one that I would revisit. There were a lot of parts that were a little bit too much for me. Especially there's one particular scene with Piper that I am not going to repeat, that I could not look at the screen for. And all I gotta say is, emetophobes, probably stay away from this movie. Because that was rough, and it was so bad it even had my friends like nearly screaming. So yeah, be prepared for that if you're gonna watch this movie. It's probably not one that I would ever watch again, though, regardless of that, because I feel like I've seen it. I know what happens. It wasn't scary. It was an interesting story. The performances were good. And I think that they did a good job with the directing, with setting up the shots and everything. So, I mean, overall, I would give this movie like a 3.5 out of 5 skulls. It's not terrible. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen. And for me, it is marginally better than Talk to Me. And when I say marginally better, I mean like in the horror factor, because Talk to Me was not scary. I don't care what anybody says. You cannot convince me that that movie was traumatizing. There was nothing traumatizing about that movie, unless you're somebody who does not watch horror movies. If you watch horror movies and you're traumatized by that movie, explain. Explain. There's got to be some personal connection you have with it, because I don't have any personal connection with that story, and that movie was not scary. So, but Bring Her Back was okay. Do I recommend you guys watching it? I mean, why not? If you want to. I wouldn't say don't watch it. It's interesting, and it's something that, like, I feel like something that I can feel like, certain people will really enjoy. I don't advise seeing this one in theaters unless you're really confident that you're gonna like it. Definitely wait for streaming. I kind of wish I did. But definitely wait for streaming if you're on the fence. This is one that I think you don't need to see it in theaters. You can watch it at home with no problems. So that is my review for Bring Her Back, which was a very interesting movie, and it was okay. It was okay. Good on you guys. So now let's get on to our next and final film for this video. So if that movie was, if Bring Her Back was bad, which I don't really think it was bad, but it wasn't great. It was just okay. The Woman in the Yard is abysmal. Oh my God. I'm so glad I didn't go to the theaters to see this, because I would have been so mad. I would have demanded for my money back. I kind of want to ask for my money back. I kind of do, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to. I appreciate horror movies that center around Black people, obviously. I appreciate horror movies that are not about the Black experience. Obviously, they center around a Black people, but it's not like Get Out or any other movie like that where it's like it's about the racial tension. But this was not it. This was not it. This movie was. It was hard to get through last night. It was hard. I really wanted it to just end. So let's get into a little bit of stats for this movie before we continue, and I kind of give you a little bit of a rundown and then also give you my thoughts and opinions on this film. So The Woman in the Yard was released on March 28th, 2025. It has a 40% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 5.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and a 51% on Metacritic. It also has 49% on Google. And this is the synopsis. Ramona becomes crippled by grief after her husband dies in a car accident, leaving her to care for her 2 children alone in her rural farmhouse. Her sadness soon turns to fear when a spectral woman in black appears on her front lawn, warning her, "Today is the day." As the mysterious figure creeps closer and closer to the house, Ramona realizes she must protect her children from the evil woman who simply won't leave them alone. So, you see, if you're watching this video, you don't care about spoilers. I called this movie maybe within 15 minutes of like it starting, maybe within, kind of. So, first things first, um the woman in black the woman in the yard, she's actually pretty cool looking. She kind of has a Grace Jones vibe going on to her. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, when she takes off that veil, like, it was giving Grace Jones for me. So I kind of liked that. That was probably my favorite part of the whole movie, is when the woman in the yard took her veil off, and she just looked like she just slayed. Like, she didn't look scary. She didn't look like, she just looked like a beautiful black woman. And then, like, I was like, okay, yeah, you can come to my yard, and I'll be like, what's up, man? Um, so, the first thing I thought was funny about this movie, kind of, though, was the fact that they did the thing that people always joke that white people in horror movies do, where they needed to get away from the city and their problems in the city, so they bought a fixer-upper in the middle of nowhere, and now weird stuff is happening. They did that in this movie. That's what the couple did, the family did. And I thought that was funny. Turn it on its ear a little bit, it's sometimes black people do that. Actually, I don't know anybody that is black that would do that. But in any case, it was cool to see that trope played a little bit differently. Now, it's important to note that Ramona, the main character, she has a broken leg through, like, the entire movie. Because when she was in the car accident with her husband, he died, she got severely injured. Now, I'm only wondering, I still am wondering how long it's been since he died. I know sometimes you have to keep casts on for a very long time, but I don't know. It seemed like the time period was weird. And she's obviously grieving very, very much. She does love her husband, you can tell. In the beginning of the movie, she's just watching videos of him and, like, moping in bed. And to put it plainly, she's not a very good mom. Which is the point of the movie. She's not a very good mom. She's suffering from severe depression. And I would love to say I appreciate what this movie's trying to tell us. But let me tell you, the Babadook did it better. Because if you want to know what this movie's about, The Woman in the Yard, it's the Babadook, basically. So how in the Babadook was a manifestation of the grief of losing a partner and having to take care of a child for the main character, The Woman in the Yard is the same thing. But I feel like it really, really did not handle its message very well. Like, before I saw this movie, it was actually a couple of months ago, I did see a few videos on TikTok of people saying that the ending of the movie was very upsetting, and that without context, like, without not context, but without knowing that it's gonna happen, it's incredibly triggering. And I can't, because of YouTube, I can't actually say what the ending of the movie is, but I will say this: it didn't bother me. But I can understand why people were upset. I can understand why a lot of creators were upset with this film, because what happens in the end of the movie is really, really rough. And it's not gory, it's not, like, violent, it's just really sad. But to put it plainly, when the woman in the yard is talking to Ramona during this scene, the stuff that the woman in the yard is saying is stuff that people who are going through that type of stuff say in their own head. And that's kind of why, like, I mean, I guess yes, it can be triggering for people, but that's kind of why I wasn't bothered by it, because I'm like, well, yeah, that is how it feels sometimes. When you just, you get into that mindset and you feel like that. And the implication at the end of the movie about Ramona's fate, I thought was handled better than I expected, because I expected to see her fate, but they didn't show it. And I'm pretty sure the ending is, I'm pretty sure the ending is like trying to ambiguously say that Ramona's no longer with us, but they did it in such a way that I thought was a little bit classier than just, like, showing it. again, what the woman in the yard says to Ramona, it is rough. It is rough hearing somebody saying that in a movie. It is rough, but at the same time, if you've ever been in that position, you know that that's what it's like. And I kind of can appreciate in a weird way, not saying that I would watch it again, but I kind of can appreciate that they didn't mince words and that they didn't get soft to try to like coddle people in that situation. Yes, it could have used a trigger warning. Yes, it could have, it could have, there could have been some sort of warning like, hey, it's going to have this type of subject matter at the end of the movie. But just so, like I said, basically, the woman in the yard is the manifestation of Ramona's pain, grief, and depression from losing her husband. Do with that information what you will. Again, like I said, I appreciate that they didn't mince words. I appreciate that they showed what those thoughts can feel like. But this movie was ass. Everything else about this movie was ass. First of all, again, I predicted that the woman in the yard wasn't real and that she wasn't even supernatural, that it was something to do with Ramona. Like I said, pretty early on in the movie, I said, is she going to be the woman in the yard? And technically I was right. I mean, again, it followed a lot of the same beats as the Babadook did, except that it was, what they would call a bottle episode if it was TV. It all took place in one day in one area. But they have moments where Ramona is getting incredibly irritated with her children and she's envisioning acts of violence. Like there's one part where she picks up her daughter and she's holding her daughter and like apologizing to her, and then she takes out a knife and stabs her daughter, but then it cuts away and she's actually stabbing a pillow. So it was like, yeah, this is basically like the Babadook, but the Babadook was better. It was a better interpretation of that feeling. And I honestly thought that at the end of the Babadook, I know everybody interprets the ending of the Babadook differently, but I honestly thought the ending of that movie ended on an uplifting note because she tamed her demons. And I thought that was great. She was doing better. Her demon was chained up. And it's one of those things where it's like that grief, that depression, that feeling of hopelessness, it never leaves you. You just learn how to live with it. And that's kind of why I liked the ending of that. This movie, no. I mean, this movie just kind of went to another place with that whole thing. I really just did not like this movie. I really didn't like The Woman in the Yard. I think this is the first movie that I've seen this year that's come out in 2025 that I'm genuinely like, what the hell? Like, even Wolfman wasn't bad. Like, people were like, oh, the Wolfman movie is so terrible. Like, it was okay. It was okay. It wasn't terrible. Again, not a movie I'd rewatch, but it was okay. I put it in the same category as Bring Her Back. It's like, it's an okay movie. I didn't hate it. I enjoyed aspects of it. I just realized that my light is blue back there. You guys can't see. Well, yeah, you can see it. It was supposed to be red, but it's blue. This movie is the first horror movie of 2025 that I've watched that is absolute garbage. And I hate saying that because, again, I always try to be positive because I know how hard it is to make a movie, to write a script, to get it picked up by a studio. I know how hard the actors will work. I know how hard the crew works. I know how hard everybody works on a film. But you can't deny when something is ass, it's ass. And that's this movie. It's so bad. It's like Tarot last year. Like how Tarot was... This is 2025's Tarot. This movie is so horrendously bad. It is horrendously bad. It's one of these movies I wouldn't even say, go ahead and give it a watch yourself. I mean, if you want to torture yourself for an hour and 25 minutes, be my guest, but I personally do not recommend this movie. It is very, very boring. It's very easily predictable. It's not scary. It tries too hard to be scary, too. That's the other thing I don't like about it, is that it tries too hard. At least with Bring Her Back, they didn't try so hard to be scary. This movie tried way too hard to be scary. And the ending, in my opinion, it is a little bit dark for people who may be in a headspace where they can't handle that kind of darkness. So I gave it a 1 out of 5 skulls. Just like solid 1, bro. Solid 1. I did not like that. I did not like that. And it was one of those movies that after it finished, I was like, wow, I wasted my time. I felt like I wasted my time. It was not good. And hopefully the next movies I watch, because I might be watching Until Dawn at some point. I know everybody hates that movie. I'm gonna see if it's worse than The Woman in the Yard. It might be better than The Woman in the Yard by like this much. Maybe those people didn't see The Woman in the Yard before they saw this Until Dawn. Because this movie is definitely like bottom tier. Do not like it. Do not want it. You can take that back. I will never watch this movie again. It's not good. It's not good. And I hate saying that, but sometimes you just gotta be real. And this is me being real. This movie's terrible. But again, watch it for yourself. Draw your own conclusions. Maybe you'll like it. Maybe you'll think I'm wrong. Maybe not. We'll see. We'll see. So that is all I am going to talk about today. We talked about 2 movies, which is very rare. We've been doing some like combination videos the last couple of weeks, and that's just because you know, I've been I ain't gonna lie, I've been struggling between not feeling well and then the stuff that's been going on in the United States. I've not been doing well, but I'm okay. I just have not been motivated, I guess I should say. I haven't been motivated, but I'm getting my motivation back slowly but surely, and we're gonna keep on keeping on. Like, I'm ready. I'm ready for Poppy Playtime Chapter 2. Like I said, I started the game, have not finished the game because I got stuck on one part and I got mad. I'm going to attempt to finish the game this weekend. Now, I cannot promise that I won't sound like absolute crap during that video, because I might be screaming my vocal cords sore the night before at the Stray Kids concert. So I might come back with a very hoarse voice. You're just gonna have to like accept it at that point. I'm sorry. But we'll get there, and then we'll get to Yellow Jackets Season 3. I promise we will get there. I also have to do a video about Jaws this year. Finally, I wanted to do it last year and I couldn't because I couldn't find Jaws anywhere. But I'm going to do a video on Jaws this year. And the reason why I'm going to do a video on Jaws this year is because it's an anniversary year. It's the 50th anniversary of Jaws, which is pretty freaking cool. I love Jaws. So we're going to talk about that next. Happy Friday the 13th. Happy birthday to Jason Voorhees. But because like I said, by the time you guys see this, it'll be the Friday the 13th. But yeah, happy birthday to Jason Voorhees. It is his birthday on Friday the 13th, June 13th of whatever year he was born. So yeah, that's all I got for you today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, subscribe, leave a comment, share it with your friends. Anything that you do lets me know that you enjoyed what you just watched. I will see you guys in my next video, and thank you for joining me in another creepy critique.